Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to this edition of SportsView. Usual information on the bottom of the screen with our phone number and our email, and press the red button to subscribe to our channel. Good evening, Joe Waters, and welcome.
Good evening, Pat. Thank you.
Now we have a full packed program. We may have one or two coming in late. I don't know. We're not going to disparage anybody now over yesterday because as we know, soccer is first up, and we have enough of those 7-Up jokes all day. I think, Joe. Have we? I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be a few more coming out along the way. They've been waiting for their chance to get this one.
Oh, they will, of course. But anyway. We're going to start off with soccer, and obviously the top of the league is Liverpool and Man United. Joe, did you see the match?
I did, yeah. I did.
Now, Liverpool and Man United. I think myself, I'm just trying to make sense of it myself because we were discussing our own friends at home about the match, what kind of a score would be. We were looking at the different bettings, the different options we had, to bet on the match, 3-0. And I genuinely did think, because as you know, we spoke about Liverpool going through a bad patch, and an awful lot of the team were off colour, were off form, an awful lot of the team, as we pointed out. So that's what pointed me. I know it was an Anfield, but I predicted to my friends that Man United would win 3-0. Now, I'm not making an excuse for myself, because if you're going on form, as they say, you could very well have come that way. But Joe, what do you think about Man United? I mean, we're not going to go back. Man United are a good team. They're still a good team. But how did you see it yourself?
Well, I think last week when we talked about it and we were looking forward to it, we said, this is one of those, the United Liverpool rivalry is so big that at this time you just throw the phone book out the window and you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I remember a few years ago when Benitez was the coach there, they won 4-0 at Old Trafford. So, to say that I'm surprised at the end result shocked me, to be honest. 7 goals going in. And the hard part for me to take is that the players on the field didn't do anything to stop the bleeding.
Yeah,
there was a lack of leadership on the United team, and it's stuff that we've been praising them about, how well they've been doing up to this point and what have you. So it was really disappointing to see that. One of the things that has confirmed for me is that Bruno Fernandes has to go. I've never liked him as a player. I don't like his attitude on the field. He's a whiner. He's a diver. He's always looking to get other players in trouble, which I just can't stand players that do that, although most of them are at it these days. But he doesn't track back. He doesn't work back. And I think, quite frankly, that there's better players than him available for United. And to be the captain of that team, I can only think back to, as far back as Noel Cantwell being captain of Manchester United, and all the lads since then that I've known that were captains there, they would be all absolutely disgusted. I mean,
can you imagine? Sorry for calling question, Joe. Can you imagine Roy Keane on the pitch yesterday?
Oh, there would have been steam coming out of his ears. The same way with Steve Bruce and Brian Robson. They just wouldn't let it happen. And that to me was, there was one point in it that I had to go outside and do something, and it was at halftime. So I was working on a project outside. I came back in and I look at the score and it's 3-0. And I went,
I know, and to only 1-0 It was only 1-0 at half time, and
Right.
there was
And
no alarm
you know,
bells ringing.
I thought that they'd weathered the storm by getting in at halftime 1-0, because they started off very poorly. Then they started coming into the game a little bit, got themselves back into it, had chances, didn't take them. And then for me, the goal was a very poor goal. I thought Dalot had a very poor game. And then in that situation for the goal, I think the ball came from the right-hand side all the way across to the left-hand side, and Dalot got himself caught too high up the field. And then Fred gets himself caught in a totally no man's land position for the ball to be played inside him for Nunes to get in behind him and score. But it wasn't just that. It was the centre halves were missing. The whole defense, when the ball came across, never shifted.
Yeah.
So you had a gap between Fred, who was defending the outside guy, overcommitted to that person, and then the ball played inside him. There was no one inside him to cover him.
It's incredible.
That's schoolboy stuff that we're taught.
Now, the ironic thing for me is Man United are still in third position in the league, and obviously we did. But I 100%, and I'm not knocking a player for the sake of knocking him. Bruno Fernandes to me was always suspect
Yes.
as a top class player. You know, I don't think he'd lace the boots of the likes of Roy Keane midfield, the likes of an awful lot of people, the likes of Scholes, Paul Scholes.
He's nowhere near those guys. I mean, those guys are on a different level.
Now, obviously, one game is one game, and you move on and you play the next one. But I'm talking about Manchester United. I mean, Liverpool were embarrassed in Europe, right?
Yes, they were. Yeah.
They were embarrassed in Europe. They met a top-class organised team in Real Madrid, right? They met a shambles of a team yesterday, but I believe Liverpool are still a poor side.
Well, the thing that I was going to say there, I'm listening to to all the hullabaloo after the result and what have you. It's very easy to get carried away on a big victory like that, 7-0. And don't get me wrong here, I'm not knocking Liverpool in any way, shape, or form. No. But, just like you said there, you go back, they got absolutely destroyed by Real Madrid at Anfield, on their own home ground. And they showed
in second gear by Madrid, yeah.
Yeah, and they showed as little pride as Manchester United did yesterday. And it's like I was talking to a friend of mine in Grimsby this morning about the game. You know what? I'd rather lose one game 7-0 than 7 games 1-0.
True.
And that's it, because it's still only 3 points that Liverpool have got. And that game does not say that I'm listening to, does Klopp have him back where he wants him now? Like, this is one result. They were abysmal at Crystal Palace a week ago. They were abysmal against Real Madrid. So what do you think is going to happen in a big game like your biggest rivals coming to your stadium?
Well, they'll be going over to Madrid, and they're out of the cup.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, they're not going to win anything this year.
No.
And people talking about United winning, the quadruple is on.
The League Cup.
Yeah, United are as far from winning the quadruple as the flying man in the moon is. They've got no chance of winning the league. And Liverpool have got even less of a chance.
Now, what I saw yesterday, I had the pleasure of watching a cracking game of soccer. I know people mightn't agree with me. The Arsenal match, I thought was did you see it? I thought it was an absolute end-to-end stuff. A lovely game to watch.
Yes, it was. It was a terrific game. Yeah. What it reminded me of? City about 4 or 5 years ago, when they were winning their first title under Guardiola.
Yeah.
They were scoring goals in the 94th, 95th, 97th minute.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was just that Arsenal win reminded me of that. And that team showed a huge amount of character in coming back from 2-0 down.
Yes. And
So
I saw, I missed the start of the match, but when I turned it on, it was 1-0. And it was only 2 minutes gone, and I said, "Jeez, what's?" And I went on my phone to find out when was the goal scored.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I mean, I love watching Saka. I think he's a superb, well-behaved, true, honest, professional soccer player.
Yes, he is. He's a very good player. I really like him. I like him, and I like Martinelli. I like both of those guys.
I love Martinelli. Yeah, I think Martinelli, and I think the manager, I think the team know that they can play with a freedom. There's no. Oh, you've gone 10 yards down the field too far. Get back. There's none of that kind of. They have a movement. The whole team have a movement, And I think that match yesterday. I know they were only playing. Who are they playing? Bournemouth, was it?
Bournemouth, yeah.
Bournemouth are tough enough, but I think that match yesterday certainly displayed to me that Arsenal have a huge chance of winning the Premiership.
I would agree with you. Yeah, I would agree with you. They took it. They took a situation that was a desperate situation, really, for them, and something that would allow, if they hadn't come back like they did, it would have allowed people to be critical of them and say the usual things. Well, and the same things that we all said. We're waiting for the test, the true test of this team. What's their character like? And are they young players with old heads on their shoulders that they can weather all this? And they showed that at the weekend that they're certainly capable of that, and they have the ability to be able to get themselves out of trouble.
You're right, and I think there's an innate confidence after being built up in the team, and that it doesn't. Of course, it matters, but it doesn't really matter football-wise if we're 2 goals down. We'll play our game. We know we're capable of winning this. We know there's this confidence that comes. I mean, it's a silly thing to say, but that game was worth 6 points to Arsenal yesterday, if you follow my drift, No,
I mean, it was a huge game, especially as City had already won.
They had.
So the pressure was on them for it. And they and you think after 10 seconds, when you give a goal away like you did, that you go, oh my God, they're going to fold the tent here. The pressure has got to them, and they didn't. Even when the second one went in, it didn't bother them. They just kept doing their thing, playing their way.
You just knew by the demeanour of the players, unlike Man United, a total contrast. You knew by the Arsenal players, like they were all talking to each other, say, look, no panic, we'll play away. Right. We have this, but obviously Chelsea won, which I suppose, I mean, just silly headlines. Potter's job is safe. I mean, a week ago he was being sacked.
But this is what I'm saying. I mean, it's like are Liverpool back? Are the real Liverpool back from one game?
So
none of it makes any sense to me. Now, if Liverpool go to the Bernabeu, when is it, next week? And they go over there and they turn over Madrid 4-0 over there and they win it, then you go, okay, but let's see what the next league game brings, and see what happens from there. But again, it was like Klopp out. Are you guys serious? The job that man has done there. Now, I don't like him sometimes when he's been interviewed and he questions the interviewer. I don't know if you've ever played top-class soccer. The interviewer had played more top-class soccer than Klopp has ever played. So, to be disrespectful like that just irritates me no end. You just answer the questions and say, we didn't play well. You take it on the chin when you don't play well, and you take the pat in the back when you do play well.
That's
You
right.
know?
And of course, sports use the program. Press the red button on the right hand side to subscribe to our channel and email info@learmedia.tv. Everton got a credible draw, I suppose you could say.
Yes.
With the ball, Sean Dyche. He has brought some kind of stability and some kind of thing to the team. They're still down below, but I would think that they'll stay in the Premiership.
I would agree with you. I would
Yeah.
agree with you. I think that Sean Dyche has a way of playing that gets the best out of the team. Not necessarily every player, but everybody knows their role in the team.
Yeah.
The team is working harder now than it's ever worked. It was a great goal by Johnson, the equaliser. But, but that Everton team a few weeks ago under Frank Lampard would have folded after that second goal.
They'd have lost the game.
Yeah, they would have lost the game. Yeah. And now they've got a little bit more steel in them. And Seamus is doing a great job for him. And Dyche loves him. And he's a great leader. So it's I'm really confident that those guys are going to do it.
And Wolves won, of course, and Chelsea won, as we said. Villa won, Brighton won again. Now, Joe, the Mariners are on the march to Brighton next. They're there for people to see. The Mariners are on the march to Brighton in the quarterfinals of the FA Cup.
Yes, they are.
I'm sorry to say there are no tickets available, lads. Don't bother ringing us for any tickets. They're all gone. There's a big bunch of them in Seattle if you want to fly out there and get them.
Yeah.
Yes. But
I have a drawer full.
But seriously, the excitement must be fantastic, is it?
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. I've spoken to a few of my friends back there, and they're all just over the moon. They went down to Southampton. There was over 4,000 of them went to Southampton for the game.
Go away.
They took their full ticket allocation and they went there. And they're going to do the same at Brighton. They'll take the same traveling support. And people were, I'm on Facebook with people that I know back there, backwards and forwards after the game. And they're getting home at 4:30. But it was so worth it. I know from the minute they got into the ground till the minute they left the ground, they never stopped cheering. And I was so fortunate. I was able to watch it over here. I got it on ESPN over here. So I was I was watching the whole thing, and it was just as I was talking to my friend this morning, it's a typical cup game of fourth division team or a lower division team against a Premier League first division team. And if you don't take this game seriously, then you're going to get your comeuppance. And you can say what you like about Southampton. They didn't do this, they didn't do that. But you know what? Grimsby took full advantage of their opportunities. And that's what you have to do when you're in that situation, and they did it.
Do they get a percentage of the gate receipts?
I do believe they do, yeah. Yeah.
So they'd have to. So that's the beauty of it. And that'll be welcome. I mean, they got the full house in Southampton. There'll be a full house now in Brighton,
Right, yeah.
And if they they go on to the semi-final then against Man City.
Yeah, there you go. But I was, reading Grimsby are not quite ready for promotion from the fourth division yet. The team is just not set yet for that. But if you remember a few years ago, Lincoln City went on a great run with the Cowley brothers as the manager and coach there. And their whole thing started with a cup run similar to this. And the finances they got from that allowed them to bring some players in that would not have been a part of their budget, because Grimsby is very, very budget oriented. They're very careful about how they're going about their business in terms of spending.
Very true. And they are mid-table. And as you said, Joe, I was looking at the table over the weekend, and they'll want to go on what you call a very, very good run to make the playoffs.
Right.
But they are capable. No
Well,
doubt about it, they're capable.
They are capable, but I don't, I think Lightning striking twice like they did last year when they went on the run at the end of it, finished in sixth position and then just took the playoffs by storm, kind of thing. I think that's hoping for a little bit too much for it to happen 2 years in a row.
Well,
and it might be just a blessing in disguise, because they may just have to solidify for a little bit, and get themselves, just get themselves settled and back on track again.
Yeah, and
I'd love to see them do it, but I've also seen the other side where you make a run for it and you get promoted, and then the wheels come off and you go back down again. And it's
that's disheartening. Like
there's nothing more demoralizing than
you're right, Joe. That happened Sunderland and many clubs. Like, it took them, and it's taken him a long time to get back up.
Oh, for sure. I mean, look at Swansea City all those years ago.
Yeah,
when John Toshak was the manager there. We played him in the fourth division.
Yeah.
Our first year in the fourth division, and they went from the fourth division to the first division something like 5 years, and then went all the way back down again. And the club nearly went out of the club was nearly ruined.
Yeah. I forgot about Swans. Of course, Wrexham are flying the flag for Wales now.
Yes, they are.
And it looks like they'll be up. It looks like they're home and hosed to come up to the league,
Yeah.
The League Two.
Yeah.
So we'll face. Although there's a nice bit of money gone into them now, I must say. And but I think all of that is good, honest soccer, as I say. There's no VAR in those lower divisions, which is a fantastic idea, in my opinion. Anyway. Thank God, It's gone ridiculous, Joe, when you can be offside by a finger.
And that's the thing with it, I mean,
that's stupid.
And half the time they're not even getting it right anyway. So it's just, honest to God, for me, I prefer that. I love the fact that everything is part of an opinion, and fans, that's what makes the game what it is. Your opinion against somebody else's,
and Joe,
and the referee and what have you.
And as you're there now, we don't want to bring politics into anything. We have enough of that on other channels. But the thing that struck me, what annoyed me yesterday, watching the Arsenal Bournemouth match, I think it was on Premier Sports or something, I forget anyway, but my son started it out for me. But anyway, all these political messages flashing up during the match.
Yeah.
Stamp racism out. Say no to inequality. I mean, for God's sake, it's a football match we're watching. We're not on a political program. There are programs of politics and discussions. It's a football match where we used to bring our kids and our grannies and all, and grandma. This has gone ridiculous, Joe.
It really has. God be with the days when the only thing that you'd have on the sideline would be the numbers for the scores at halftime in all the other matches that we're on. Now they got the big screens and they got this and they got that. And it's just like...
Can you tell me something? There's huge amount of time delayed in bringing people on and off the pitch.
Yes.
They must get this guy with an electronic board. Do they think the people in the ground are completely stupid? Most of them have a match program, right?
Right.
With all the players' numbers on it, the squad for the day.
Yeah.
Honestly, God, if they see number 23 coming on and 19 going off, they know what's happening, for God's sake. And it's announced on the tannoy as well. What's the idea of the fellow with the board? It's wasting another 20 to 30 seconds coming off. It's completely bonkers to me, and that's one of my pet hates as well, I hate.
Well, I mean, the time wasting to me is absolutely unbelievable. You know, again, like I said, I was talking to a friend of mine in Grimsby this morning. We were talking about the 6 second rule for goalkeepers. That's never
No,
enforced.
most
Never
people don't know
enforced.
anything about it. No,
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, it's a thing of the past.
They walk over
Goalkeepers
and
today,
back in the
as they want.
box with the ball in their hand. They walk over and back in the
Yeah,
box. They walk back and walk out. Drop the ball, pick the ball, drop the ball, pick the
yeah,
ball. Wait till the player comes up to them.
yeah. No, and then all this fake stuff of falling on top of the ball when it's just a simple save,
Yeah,
and then rolling around with it and keeping it. Yeah, it's just it just you know it. People are paying good money. People are paying a lot of money to
a
watch these
fortune.
games.
You're talking
And
about 80, 90 pound, 100
yeah,
pound, 100 euro, which
yeah.
is, I'll tell you, it's just shocking. VAR and time wasting, the bane of soccer. And they want to be very careful because an awful lot of sports have thought a poor day would never come, you know?
And
Or
that's the
a
thing with
lean
it.
time would never come, but you don't know these things, you know? Because people in anyway, the sports user program. We'll go back to soccer. We'll just quickly look at Derwin isn't here, our golf enthusiast, but in the Arnold Palmer Invitational, which was $3.6 million to the winner, which was Kurt Kitayama from the United States. My God, $3.6 million he won for 4 rounds of golf, but they were good 4 rounds of golf.
There you go.
And in the and Pádraig Harrington was the best of the Irish. Good old Pádraig, evergreen Pádraig.
Yes.
He finished 53rd, right? And he got $47,000 for his weekend. There you are.
Nice work if you can get it.
Absolutely. In the women's, then we had our own Leona Maguire. She was playing in the Women's World Championship out there. She finished in the top 20. She had 3 rounds of 70 and a round of 71. It was won by Young Ji Ko on 17 under, and she won 270,000. Leona got 20 grand. Well done, Leona, keeping the Irish flag flying. And that was the golf. Cycling, Martin will be with us next week. No, he'll be free. He's our cycling man. I had it on tonight. And Joe, I don't you see any of the Formula One. It's beginning to be boring, totally boring altogether now. It is. I watched the highlights. I couldn't watch the race in full in normal time. Verstappen and Perez, Red Bull, first and second, and Alonso was third. But really, he could have gone out and had a 3-course meal and sat into the car, and he still have won the race. If you follow my drift, you know.
Yeah.
It's 18, 17 cars finished out of 20. It was in Bahrain, the first race of Formula One. It's looking right. I don't understand it myself, because as far as I'm concerned, in my ignorance, and people can pick me up in this, I don't mind. I thought all the cars, mechanically speaking, were supposed to be equal.
Well, that's what I thought as well.
Do you know what I mean?
And you would imagine
you would have a 4-liter engine. You would have a 4-liter engine. Yeah.
You'd imagine with the amount of money that is involved in the sport that each team has in it, and the quality of the mechanics that they've got and the engineers that design this, why are these cars breaking down like they're breaking down, and not comparable to the other ones? That's the thing that's the thing I don't understand.
If someone can enlighten us here, info@theirmedia.tv is our email. As we said, Joe agrees with me here that all the Formula One cars are supposed to be equal. Their size of their engine and torque and power and all of that. Yet 2 or 3 cars can finish the race 2 or 3 laps quicker than the rest of them. I mean, I know there's skill in driving it, obviously. That's why you have drivers. They have a certain amount of skill, But I thought the reason they did that was to make it more exciting, not to make it a funeral procession every race.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the disparity in driving skills cannot be. I mean, when you're talking about them being a lap or 2 laps, you're talking about the equivalent in soccer being a division apart, but competing in the same thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and that to me doesn't make any sense
Give
whatsoever.
me, well, if people are into car racing, it's only a personal opinion. Give me Indy car racing anytime.
There, yeah, there you go.
Oh, jeez. I love watching. It's great fun, you know. It's great fun.
But it is great fun. It's
It's hell
but I
for
tell you,
leather.
I wouldn't get into one of those things if you. I was watching it yesterday or Saturday, and fellas climbing in through the windows because the doors don't open and what have you. And
Yeah.
I'm going, I'm so claustrophobic. I would never get into one of those things because I have to have a way of getting out somehow if anything happens. And
Well, you have,
the way these things are nose to tail, going around at whatever speeds, 120 miles an hour, whatever speed,
or
with
the,
no
or
margin
the,
for error.
well, the Formula One cars, as you said, you're fitted into it,
Yeah,
and that's it. You know, that's it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd want to
Give
be
me,
on my own.
yeah, give me a wide open field like a rugby field or a soccer
Yeah.
field or a hurling field or Gaelic football field, and I'll be perfectly happy. Thanks very
We're going
much.
to invent a new sport now: cross country Formula One racing. But
Yeah,
you're with Joe Waters and myself here on Sports. You tell all your friends about us and press the red button to subscribe to our channel. We had the rugby over the weekend, the United Rugby Championship. All the Irish provinces won. Leinster, Connacht, Ulster won, and Munster won. So they're going reasonably well. The top four in the United Rugby Championship, that's why the teams take it serious. I'm not saying that they don't, but that's why they are, because the top four qualify for the Heineken the European Champions Cup, you know? So that's where the money is, that's where the sponsorship, that's where your gravy is, as they say. And Leinster are top of the pile on 71 points. They all have 15 matches played. The Stormers, they're doing very well this year. They're on 59. It's a bit of a jump now from Leinster. Leinster's a step above all the rest of them, in my opinion. Ulster are in third place with 54 points. Glasgow are in fourth with 49. Munster are fifth with 47. So you can see the third, fourth, and fifth are all milling around there for exciting. And Connacht are in eighth place with 39. So I don't see them. Our own friend Ronan O'Gara, is his team La Rochelle won over the weekend. They're in second place in the French top 14. Toulouse are leading on 67. La Rochelle are on 56. Stade Francais, who lost, are on 55, and Lyon, who the good win, on 54. So, you know, the top two there. So he's going well. He's doing very well, you know. And I think that he's settled. I'm talking about Ronan O'Gara, you know,
yeah,
lifestyle, family, house, school. I think he's settled, and I'm not saying he wouldn't be capable of coaching the Irish team, but I think there's no discussion. That's not up for discussion now till the World Cup, which is only around the corner now. The World Cup in rugby, which is over in France. I don't know. It might be nice to go to one or two games there. You know, it's not far away from us here at this side anyway. You know,
yeah,
over
yeah.
there.
But
So
Pat, wouldn't Leo Cullen be in the frame for that? Do you think, for the Irish job? I
he
mean,
doesn't have the interest.
as well as he's done it, he has no interest.
No, I don't think so.
He's happy to be at.
I think he was in the frame there before, after Smith, was it? But
Yeah.
no. He's a family. I mean, I think the commitment, being Irish coach, people don't realize it. Like, you're gone. You're probably, during the rugby season, you're away from home probably 3 or 4 days a week. Gone. You're traveling to league matches, you're traveling to provincial matches, you're traveling abroad to see the provinces playing, you're traveling abroad to see the opposition, the Six Nations. And so the commitment is incredible. I mean, really, you'd really you want to be single, and that's it. No, I
Yeah,
think, you wouldn't want to have any ties really, because that's the way I see it. I could be wrong, like, but that's why
yeah.
you don't see an awful lot of senior rugby players going into coaching. You know,
No,
they're
you don't actually. It's
they're
that's
either they're in punditry, or they're in consultancy, or they're whatever.
mhm.
They probably see it from a player's perspective. You know that yourself, Joe. The commitment to be a professional soccer player, or a professional any player. Although then you look at Manchester United. Now, certainly we don't want to be overly critical, but they certainly did not display any semblance of professionalism in the second half, anyway, of that match against Liverpool. People should be aware those players are on $250,000 a week on average, if not more.
Yeah,
And the only thing they have to do is train and play soccer. That's it. And be professional, be honest, be committed. And as you said, that was not displayed. That's what drove Roy Keane bananas altogether. I mean, it wasn't the losing, as you said. You'll have bad days. You will have bad days on the pitch, where every chance the opposition will get, they'll always score. You had that, but I think Liverpool flattered to deceive is a stupid thing to say, but I think they're still poor.
but I mean, there's a couple of things that you look at from that. I mean, they give up a goal just before halftime. They give up a goal just after halftime, right? And
Yeah.
you could say, well, that was a tough blow, and the whole thing. But the reality is that you're going to give up goals no matter what. It's like Arsenal. You give up a goal after 10 seconds. Well, what do you do after that? Do you get back into the game, or what do you do? And the lack of commitment on the United part was alarming to me. That there's nobody turns around and says, come on, let's roll our sleeves up here and get stuck into this thing, and let's salvage some pride from it. I had a manager at Grimsby Town, John Newman, went on to manage Derby County.
Yeah.
And the thing he said to me, he was the one that made me captain of Grimsby Town. And he said, Joe, he said, the only advice that I'd ever give you, he said, is try and win the next 10 minutes. Right? He says, we might be losing. We might be 5-0 down. Just try and win the next 10 minutes, and then try and win the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what keeps you going, because that 10 minutes that you are playing now, you can take it forward into the next game.
Yes.
And build on that.
Yeah,
that was the whole thing from it. You can at least salvage some semblance of pride out of it by saying, well, at least we gave it a go, and we came out of it with something. And then you can build up on that. But when you have nothing, when you didn't show anything against your fiercest rival, then that to me was very, very disappointing. So that shows you the job that Ten Hag has done with the players that he's got up to this point.
Yeah.
And it also shows you now what is needed, because what he's done can cover up a lot of things, but a trouncing like that, and let's be honest, it was a trouncing. Oh. It was a whooping, and it just shows you. Yeah, it just shows you. And this is the thing when people, talk about, well, in the old days, you said when somebody won the cup, there'll be a challenger for the league next year, Well, the cup is only 6 matches. 6 or 8 matches, that you have to win. The league is 38 or whatever it is, 42 as it used to be in the old days for the first division. So you have to get results over 42 matches, and I mean, I remember talking to John Giles about this, you know, and we were talking about Leeds and how when they were, and he says, yeah, he says, well, you know, he said, we talk all the time. We can only lose 3 games. That's all we can lose. You know,
Jeez.
and he said that's it. If you lose more than 3 games, you're highly unlikely to win the league.
And indeed, and it was tough. It's tough every there. I think they're 2/3 of the way through the league now, the Premier League. Would you say now, looking at it now, notwithstanding that result with Liverpool and Man United, you'll always get 1 or 2 of them in the year. But is it still between Arsenal and Man City? Would you say, Joe? At the end of the day,
I would say that yes, for sure. They're the 2 teams that have the most class right now, and are in the best form. And City have, you know, City were a little bit iffy early on in the season, but they're doing one of their patented runs at the moment where they
yeah.
go
And
on a run to the end of the season.
I
And
saw a lot of the match. The City they won it 2-0, but my reckoning, I know it's silly to say, my reckoning was they could have won that game 6 or 7-0.
yeah,
In one sense, because there was movements and there was moves in the match where just a slight adjustment of a pass or anything, it could have been a goal. You know, if you know what I mean. That
yeah,
they create so many chances. It's just mind-boggling. You know,
yes.
watching them.
And that's the thing with it, you know. I mean, it's they are so good at doing that, and you know, they're so well organized, and the way he orchestrates them, and you know, I was reading an article about what he was talking about, his methods and what have you, and you know, he gives them a framework, and within that framework, they have certain things that they have to do. I heard Thierry Henry talking about when he went to Barcelona with Guardiola, and he said, "This is where I have to be all the time. This is what he tells me. And when the ball's over here, this is where I have to be. This is my position. And when the ball moves to there, this is my position. And I have to know exactly each one where I'm supposed to be when the ball is in a certain position." He said, and every one of us has to know as well. So,
And I suppose the Holy Grail for City is winning the European Cup.
yes, that has to be the next step for him.
And
For him to be considered, I think, as one of the truly greats. I mean, he is very, very good. Don't get me wrong.
he's a
But
good manager.
yeah, he is a good manager, you know. But he's had a couple of things going for him. At Barcelona, he had that young group of players that came through that he was really, as he was the second team coach. So he had a lot of those guys that played for him.
Yeah, they were his team. Yeah.
Yeah, before he moved up to the head coach. And then they all kind of went the same way with him, you know. Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi.
They were a stunning team. An
Yeah,
absolute
they were. I mean, they were all at their training camp with Guardiola when they were young kids. They were the ones that worked with him and what have you. So he took him when he took up, and then he goes to City, and he has an unbelievable amount of money to spend, and he's able to buy players. He knows the players he wants. He recognizes what they are, and he brings them in. And he takes his time. He beds them in. He lets them know their roles, what they're supposed to be, and what have you. And now you see the likes of, you know, Riyad Mahrez, Jack Grealish, all those guys. Phil Foden.
Foden is turning into a very good player.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
And I mean that the Lewis kid that he's got playing at right back, that he's bringing in and what have you. I mean, he's been at Man City since he was, I think, 10 or 12 or something like that. So he's been with Guardiola the whole time and learning the system as a young fella in their third team, reserve team, whatever.
Yeah.
And now he walks into the first team and he knows exactly what his role is.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a fair point. And yeah, they're nice. I saw a nice bit of the PSG match. I can see why they have Messi. You know, his movement around. He's imperceptible the way he moves around. You know, he's there. He's reading of the game. As I was watching it, and I was watching Mbappe. Mbappe and himself have an incredible understanding on that team. You know.
Yes, yeah, they're very good. You know, the beauty of Messi. Messi is a dribbler, and a dribbler and a passer. That's what he is, and he's got his center of gravity so low to the ground that he only needs a couple of quick steps.
That's all.
That's the difference between him and Ronaldo. That's why Messi is more effective at this time in his career than Ronaldo is, because Ronaldo was sheer pace.
Yeah.
Power and pace.
Pure pace.
He's lost that. He's lost a step and a half, and he's not able to get away from people. Whereas Messi can still drop his shoulder and send you to the bathroom.
Gone.
He's gone. And that's the difference. So a player like that will always be effective.
And just lovely to watch them, because they were 2-0 up, just 2-2, and then they won 4-2. But you could see they raised the game and bang. They just come on, let's go and win it, and bang. I know it's that, but that's the way it looked looking at it, looking at the match. But anyway, we have something to look forward to now, Joe, and we're just coming to the end of the show, lads, and we're absolutely delighted, Joe, to have you here every Monday night. I mean, an awful lot of people know who you are at this stage around here anyway. If they didn't know before, they know now, and your contributions the lads are so look forward to them, all the young lads that I know anyway, and it's very much appreciated. Just in case you didn't get any fan mail, the feedback is fantastic. I'll give you his address at the end of the season. We don't want the poor man swamped, But Joe, for this edition of where are we? I'm just trying to find the thing now. I forgot to look up what's on during the week.
Well, we have Champions League matches this week. City and Dortmund are on, aren't they? And Chelsea
are playing.
Chelsea are playing, and City are playing. Is it Chelsea and Dortmund?
I don't have it in front of me, the score in the City match. I forget, what is it?
City were 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
That was 1-1, and Chelsea are a goal down to Dortmund, I think.
Yeah, they're tough. I mean, Bayern Munich have huge form, and they're a good team.
Yes, they are. And they've had their issues, and especially with the with Nagelsmann coming in as the head coach. A few of the older guys didn't really appreciate him. Lewandowski. I'm finding out that the reason that Lewandowski left was that he had a clash with Nagelsmann, and he just resented the fact that Nagelsmann was telling him how to play, how he wanted him to play, and Lewandowski is going, well, I've been in this game longer than him. I know how to do this, but the reality is that the coach decides what way you're going to play, and if you don't like it, that's tough luck. I mean, I read Bobby Robson's book. I just finished reading it, and he was talking about Alan Shearer, and Shearer came into his office, and Bobby Robson was trying to nurse him through the last years of his career, kind of thing, because Alan wanted to play every game, which is totally understandable. But the reality is that you get to a certain age and you can't play every game, so you have to pick and choose some of them. And Bobby Robson said Alan Shearer came up to him and said, why are you not playing me on Saturday? And Bobby Robson said, well, he said, I could tell you because I'm the manager and I'm the manager of the team, and what I do, what I think is right for the team. But I will explain to you my reasoning. So he had, I mean, the manager can tell you, no, I'm not playing you. And the story doesn't have to give you a reason for it.
No.
He has his own reasons, and that's the same with no player is bigger than the coach. Some people try to be,
They
but you
do.
find out in the finish that really you're
You
not.
do. And that's what happened, Man United, as we know, last year and the year
Yes.
before Ten Hag came. You had three or four, and it happened many times where you have three or four players picking the team.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
that's it. So,
yeah.
anyway.
I just go back to it. Mourinho says one of the best jobs he thinks he's ever done as a coach was getting Man United to second position in the league the years that he was there. And when you look back on it, you realize that it was a fantastic job because there were so many characters in that dressing room that had egos. Yeah,
Egos.
the size of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. And
Mourinho,
I class Mourinho as a fantastic manager.
Yeah, he's done a great job.
He's doing a great job in Roma now with little
Yes, he
resources.
is. They beat Juve at the weekend 1-0. So and he, he tells it like it is. And if you don't like it, it's too bad. That's the way it is.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Now, as you know, when that match is on against Brighton, Joe, I didn't look it up either. It was remiss of me with the cup match. It'll be another few weeks, will it?
It should be a couple of weeks, yeah. I think
in April, sometime in April, I think.
Yeah, probably in April, yeah.
It's the middle of April, so. But anyway, from Joe Waters and from myself on this edition of SportsView, it's been a blast again, Joe, and thank you for your time. And until we meet again, lads, take care, good night, and God bless.
Good night, Pat. Thank you.
Night, bro.